We're studying now Article 314.16, number of conductors in outlet, device, and junction boxes and conduit bodies. Now remember, I'm using the free NEC that's available online, but this is based on the older edition of the code book. The book that we're using for this class is the 2011 edition of the National Electrical Code, and I'm on page 70-179. I'm looking at table 314.16a, metal boxes. Now, if we're using all conductors of the same size in the box, then we can use table 314.16a to determine two things. We can determine how many conductors will fit in that box, or we can determine what size box we would need for a certain number of conductors. Now remember, this is assuming that all the conductors are the same size. And when I say same size, I'm talking about the American wire gauge. For example, I would have 5 12-gauge conductors in the same box. Now this is also assuming that there are no, if the outlet box contains no switches or receptacles, or luminaire studs, or luminaire hickeys, manufactured cable clamps, or grounding conductors. Now this in the real world is not going to be likely. You're going to contain these things, but this is what we're starting out with, is looking at table 314.16a when we're wanting to size a box with just the same number of conductors and nothing else. Now using the free NEC here, I'm going to scroll down, and here's table 314.16a, metal boxes. And let's say, for instance, I'm going to have 14, I'm going to be using 14 AWG, that's 14 gauge wire, and let's suppose that I want to have 9 of those in a square box. Then I go under the 14 gauge column, I'll come down, let's see, I'm going to have 9 conductors. Then I come along here for a square box, and you'll see that I would need to use a 4 by 1 1/4 inch square box. Now if I wanted to have 9 14 gauge conductors mounted in a round or an octagonal box, then let's see, I'd go under the 14 gauge column. 6, that's not enough conductors. 7's not enough. I'd go to 10, because remember, I want to have 9 conductors, so I got to go to the next larger number, and this would require a 4 inch by 2 1/8 inch round or octagonal box. Let's say that I wanted to use 7 number 8 AWG wires, and I wanted to mount them in a device box. So if I wanted to use 7 number 8s and mount into a device box, if you look here under the column for 8 AWG size conductor, and I think I said I wanted 7 of them, and they needed to be in a device box. Well, here's my device boxes here. And if I look here under the column for 8WAG, I don't see where I can find a device box large enough to contain 7 number 8 AWG wire. So I would have to go to, let's see, here's a 7. I would have to use a masonry box or a gang box with these dimensions if I wanted to have 7 conductors number 8 in size. So you would follow this table when sizing the box to the number of conductors, or finding out how many conductors I can have in a certain size box.